Hi, I'm John Bowers. About 25 years ago, I bought a blue linen blazer from Land's End, and while it's given me good service, I have to say it never really fit me all that well. Now, like me, it's getting up in years, so I decided this is the summer that I was going to replace it. My daughter encouraged me to go the exact opposite direction from off the rack and have this coat handmade by John Cappelli here at Cappelli Tailors in Wayne. John is either a third or a fourth generation in his family to do this exacting work, and he's well known for making beautiful bespoke garments for both men and women. This is going to be a multi-stage process, and I'm going to be filming it, which I'm really looking forward to. Today is the first part of that process. I'm going to be going in and talking to John about the linen that I'd like to have for the jacket, some of the other important details like the lining, maybe the buttons, and then get measured so that he can make the pattern from which the coat will ultimately be made. So let's not waste any more time. Let's head in, meet John, and get this process started.
Good afternoon, John.
Okay, first a quick word. I had a chance to speak with John by phone before I came out today. I wanted to give him a general sense of what I was looking for as a blazer. And we decided to have three specific goals that we're going to try to attend to today. One would be to look at and then choose a specific lining, and as well as the fabric for the coat itself, and then to get measured, because that of course is the first step that's required to make the pattern. So I'm really, as I'm standing here and looking not only at what you've set out here, but behind you is rows of sample books, and I'm really glad that I've determined within a pretty narrow scope of what I want, because do you have any idea how many samples are represented there?
There are at least 300 or more possible books, and each book can carry anywhere from 50 samples all the way up to 100 samples in a book, depending on the collection in and of itself. And so there's more than about 5,000 different samples to look at.
Well, why don't we start with the one in front of me? And that is, I believe you said it was an Italian?
This is an Italian linen, and this linen has a slightly different weave. It's slightly denser than some of the Irish linens, which tend to be a slightly lighter weight, a little more open weave.
Now let's move to the Irish. You have two choices for me?
The larger book here being a little bit more light in weight than the Italian, and a little more open of a weave, much more visible type of weave and slub work in and of itself. And again, being beautiful as it is, linen does a beautiful job at wrinkling, and that's part of the beauty, to be very honest. Some people
I agree with that.
Sometimes get upset about all the wrinkles that linen has to offer, but that's what proves it's pure linen. And the same thing with this one here, being a even more open weave and very nice, lightweight, very summer aspect, great looking, and again, beautiful wrinkling.
And this seems closer to the color of the blazer I'm replacing.
Your original blazer.
Yeah, so I kind of like it for that reason.
That's where we're headed.
Great. Thanks. I think I know even now which way I'm going, which is this one that we looked at last. Moving over to the linings.
When you and I began to talk earlier on the phone, you had said some things about enjoying some hobbies, and so I wanted to have some ideas of what you liked. And we mentioned fishing, and I said, oh, I happen to have some fly fishing pieces, and we brought the neckwear out that happens to match the lining. So this is the fly fishing theme here that you see on the desk. They come in three colors: the red coral, the royal blue, and then this more of a toasted fawn color here in the khaki. And they're all beautiful linings, beautiful neckwear as well, and it's kind of a very little different way of getting it done. You have a blazer with your personal lining, necktie, and bow tie to match.
And I'm sensing an early favorite here. I'm not making any final decisions for my first vision of these things, but the coral one stands out because it makes those flies look amazing.
And I think with a navy blazer, that's a great choice, because red and blue look fantastic together.
Okay, let's get that extra long tape, and you can start the measurements.
Yeah. I don't know if this one will fit you though, John.
Step into my office over here. Tell me about the importance of what we're doing here.
So we're going to start measuring it today, and the importance of the measurements for us, and every tailor is slightly different, is that we're taking the measurements to create the pattern individual for you that we're going to make ourselves for you and for each customer that we see. We don't have any pre-made patterns. Our system is different than many others, and in order for us to start with the pattern, we have to start obviously with the measurements, and that being the most important aspect to creating a pattern. Nothing that we have is ready-made, so we don't have a ready-made pattern, and we're going to make your own personal pattern, and that will begin with our measurements, and then from there we'll make a try-on or a first fitting for you, and from there we'll create what we need to make you a beautiful blazer.
And I will tell you that I was tempted to suck in my gut.
Well, I did get an extra long just in case I needed
nice.
it.
Yes. Do you find that people, either out of vanity or out of habit, when their attention is being brought to them, they'll tend to be more erect and more...
They stand up straight, they tend to pull things in, and I have to remind everyone to please relax and be yourselves, because otherwise...
it doesn't fit at the end.
It won't fit at the end.
Or you have to comply.
Right. Eventually, one of the two of us have to give in at some point.
We're a back brace in the corset.
Right, exactly. Very good. So the measurements are taken. The next step, of course, would be to make a pattern with these measurements.
Okay.
And we can start to do that if you like.
Yeah, and why don't you give me a call and let me know when that's ready to come, because I'd love to watch and film that being done.
We'd be happy to have you. So we're here today with John Bowers, and he and I are starting to make a pattern for his custom-made sport jacket blazer, and we are going to be making him the first fitting. The pattern is used to make the first fitting and create a try-on. And from that point, we'll go on to several other fittings until the jacket's finished. But the first step is a individualized pattern just for John. And John's here today. We're going to have a good time looking at how this pattern's made up. So just so you know, this piece here, John, is the back. So it's half of the back already made. Neckline up here, shoulder line, back armhole right here, side seams, center seam. And what we do to check our pattern is we take a measurement, two measurements actually. We took the waistline of your pants and what's called a coat waistline up here in the abdominal area. We compare the two measurements, and then we add an ease allowance for that, and that's what we want to have for what we call the overlap of the coat. So I'm going to measure the half coat, see what I come up with. My calculations tell me 23.5 inches to the center of the half coat, which will be somewhere over here, and then you add an overlapping amount for the buttoning of the coat as well. So we're going to look at that, see how close we are to that, and if we have to let out the pattern or take in the pattern according to your measurements.
Well, we can eliminate the most embarrassing measurements from this film.
we don't even have to tell. We're not going to tell them what the measurements are.
That seems fair. No judgment.
No, none at all. Why do we have to do that? Can't be doing that. So this pattern has a overlap, or a center I should say, center waist of 22. We need 23.5. So we need to find 1.5 inches somewhere. So we'll let it out a little bit here and there. 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch there, and we'll take a little bit off of here. And then we'll add some in the front. It should be good. Sure. So this is a shaper to shape parts of the coat. The bottom of the round was my father's. Actually, it's not the original one. We had it redone. But it has all sorts of different S-curves and shapes and angles. And it was used before rulers were really used to add shape to jackets and use corners and balances. I use it mainly now just for the front shape of the coat here. But it can be used for a lot of things. A lot of shapes in there. And that's basically the front and back of this jacket. We didn't get to the sleeves yet, but we're going to get that in a second.
How many years was your father in the tailoring business?
Since the age of 7. And he died at the age of 74. So a lot of years.
And was his father a tailor?
My grandfather, my great-grandfather, all of his sisters were tailors. Full tailors, not seamstresses, full tailors. sleeves are cut one on top of the other. There's two-part sleeve. The sleeve is top sleeve and under sleeve for a jacket. And this, in our system, we cut it one on top of the other. And then we cut them out together. That's why I fold the paper in half. Now we can lay out the fabric. We'll see how. So now I'm going to add to the pattern my overages. These are my, how much I want extra to leave for the fitting. So that we can make adjustments if we have to, or modifications in the widths and different placements of things that we decide upon, you and I, once we have our fitting. And that'll allow us to make adjustments. Also, if there's some posture control issues, I'm able to modify the jacket and cut it out again in a different way. Look at the sleeves. We'll go on like this. That's the entire half a jacket. Obviously double.
So the next step is?
So our next step will be putting this together with the canvas. This is the canvas coat front. Pre-made, we buy them. Made in such a way that it gives bounce or body to the garment. There's a lot of flex in this. The chest area is padded. There is chest piece underneath here for structure. That's a little stiffer, a little heavier. And there's shoulder pieces up in here for the shoulders that are even a little bit more structured. That gives a nice finish to the shoulder line, trying to keep it soft and light at the same time. But you do need structure, or the shoulders rimple and they don't look clean and they don't have a nice edge to them. So the canvas is a big product of that, big product of the front, big product of the lapel, how the lapel looks. If the canvas is put on beautifully, there'll be a nice deep roll, which is what we're looking for, a rich roll at the bottom of the lapel before the button.
How much memory does canvas have?
This has a lot of memory. It can sustain itself for a number of years in position and maintain the roll, maintain the integrity of the chest line structure, maintain the waistline structure, and look right for a long time. It's a free floating canvas, and it's a full canvas that goes all the way down to the bottom of the front of the coat. Now just the front's put on canvas, so it gets laid on after it's put together and stitched on the front here, and the padding of the lapel, the neckline, armhole area, and then all the way around the front. When it's seamed, there's an edge tape that's put on. That edge tape is then attached to the canvas. That holds it in place, but the bodied part, it floats. It can move in here, this area, and that gives it nice structure. It also doesn't pull on the fabric itself, so it allows the fabric to move a little away from the canvas and back again when it's necessary. But it does do a lot of control work for the integrity of how the jacket should look, which is important for bespoke purposes.
So the next step is, after what you've demonstrated here, when will I?
We're going to put a try-on together.
Okay.
We're going to have a fitting. We're going to look at it on you. We're going to see what it looks like, what adjustments we have to make, and what you want out of the jacket too. I mean, your feedback is very important, because I've never made clothes for you before. I don't know how you like to wear your clothes, and I'm going to learn some of that. And you're going to learn a lot about how I make clothes and what it looks like to have a bespoke piece versus a ready-made piece. And the two of us will come to a satisfactory look of the garment. We'll go to the next stage with a second fitting if it's necessary. Will be a rebasted try-on of the same with the alterations made that you and I have discussed. And after that, if we both are happy, we'll go to a finished try-on, or finished fitting, which will be almost the final, basically almost finished coat with no buttonholes on it. Then we'll check the sleeve length and some small details if we want a little more waistline or anything we want to do, we can do with detail work there. And then the final fitting will be the day you pick it up, try it on, walk around, and then leave. And then that's really basically the process.
I'm looking forward to the next step then.
A little more detailed than that, but yeah, should be fun. And we are going to use the lining.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the selection of lining that you've chosen for your jacket, 100% pure silk with a red coral background and fly fishing themed print. It's very beautiful. With the lining will come a handmade necktie from Bird Dog Bay, pocket square, and matching bow tie. All three will go with the lining inside your blazer, and these accessories will be worn with the blazer.
And I love the idea of buying American, and I think you said that at every point in its creation, this company is 100% American.
This is. Everything that they do for us is made here in the United States.
Well, it's beautiful, and I can't wait to see it sewn into my blazer.
It'd be a beautiful compliment.
All right, well, the next stop is going to be the first try-on.
First fitting.
First fitting.
That'll be next.
And give me a call when you're ready for me to come out.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hello, John. It's John Cappelli calling, just letting you know that your very handsome navy blue blazer is ready for a fitting. If you don't mind to give me a call back when you're ready to see me, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you and have a great day.
Hello, John. How are you today?
Couldn't be better, John.
Great. I'm excited about your first fitting here today. We have the jacket put together as a raw try-on. This is a basted try-on of the pattern we made and the fabric we cut for you that you chose. And this is going to be a look at how the overall jacket is fitting you at this stage of the game. So what we're looking at right now is a macro fitting of the jacket versus a micro fitting. Okay. We're going to look at basic aspects, balance, overall fit, some structural issues, posture, as well as comfort level, and then some details. But the more fine-tuning and refined details get looked at another fitting, possibly the second fitting. As I see it right now, looks nice, and I think we could make some improvements that I would like to do based on what I see, and we'll do that, and then we'll come back to another fitting if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Let's go do it.
Okay. Okay, John, so right now, given what we've seen for your first fitting, we're going to take the jacket apart, correct it for the second fitting, and make the corrections that I evaluated from looking at it upstairs. And we're going to go ahead and remove the parts that are sewn together, just temporarily basted, make our corrections, put the coat back together, and then we'll go to the second fitting. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you're welcome to watch as I go along. How's that?
Perfect. Now, would you be leaving the canvas in place?
Canvas stays in place. The overall structures of the jacket stay in place, like pocketing, the position of the lapel, the vent of the back of the jacket. All those things will stay in place because we don't have to do anything to those parts, but we are going to make corrections, and that's going to change the balance of the jacket. So we're going to take your pattern, make some marks, and make some corrections to it.
And the areas that you noticed on the coat that caught your attention, where were they? Were they up at the neck, or on the shoulder, or on the arms?
Basically, the front of the jacket hangs a little low, so we're going to raise that up. and we're going to drop the back of the jacket down a little bit in the center. That's going to reposition or rebalance the jacket.
Okay.
And then there's a little bit of fullness in the back that I'm going to remove, very little. And then we're going to look at that again, and if that looks clean and hangs well, then that's where we'll start to finish. Stuck here a little bit, pardon me. And so this is a second fitting with corrections. And now if you look just at this without pinning it, if you want to look down, you'll see that the jacket's hanging perfectly straight, both sides. And that is balance.
Okay.
The coat just changed balance, and that's important. So these fittings are looking at aspects that would not be looked at, of course, with ready-made products, because they can't be. That product is finished. But in a custom piece like this, you get to manipulate the garment, whether it be a jacket, trousers, or whatever, until we have a fit that is correct for the person in which that garment is being made for. Then the rest of it, like we discussed downstairs, is tailoring technique. So the ability to make a beautiful lapel, the ability to make a beautiful collar, beautiful shoulders. That's all in the sewing, the art of tailoring. This is in the engineering of tailoring. That's what we just looked at right now. This is engineering. How to structurally make a jacket for a client and have it go on their body for them, not for the masses like you would in a ready-made product. Okay?
Yeah. Now I know you promised that I would get better looking with this jacket. I think
yes.
It's coming true.
Look, it happened way back.
So then,
may I take that for you?
Please do. So then what happens next?
Next, we're going to go on to finishing parts of the coat. The front, the sleeves, the back, the lining will be inserted, and it will be then put back together for what's called a slip-on fitting. The slip-on is semi-finished, basically. And that's a quick fitting to look at those small details, sleeve length. Again, if we want to do some waist suppression or whatever we want to do with the waist. We could, if you're comfortable with a nice soft fitting jacket, leave it soft and comfortable. If you want a little more fit, we'll put a little more fit. Whatever you want with it. That's the whole point of looking at it at that point, is to say, what do you as the jacket wearer would like to look like?
So it sounds as though you were able to identify the major issues that require me to be here while you make those changes.
Correct.
And now you can kind of move ahead with those alterations.
Now it's Cappelli Tailors' time to create the jacket in the art of tailoring.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you
soon
when you call. Thanks.
Yes.
So what are we doing here, John?
Now we're going to make a label for your initials to place inside the jacket. So we've stitched the label on with a monogram machine, beautiful monogram machine. And
I'll edit that part out.
yeah, and we're going to create the back side and front side of the label so it has a finished edge. and then we'll sew it in by hand nicely.
Is all pick stitching by definition done by hand?
Well, in tailoring terms, yes. I mean, they do have pick stitch machines that can do it.
But on my garment?
It's all by hand, yes. Everything.
Except the monogram.
Except the monogram. Yeah.
You refuse to do that.
No way.
John, I want to thank you for being willing to do this customized monogram label. I appreciate that.
You're the only one.
I think it's going to look nice with the...
It's going to look very nice. It's got a little detail here.
And with the fabric label to go underneath the pocket or below the pocket, that's going to look kind of cool.
This will also make the label look less large. You know, like so blank. It'll give it a little more, you know, a little decorative structure to it.
Frames it nicely.
It frames it, yeah. These are a little framing. Right. Make sure they're all a little bit tighter than they should be. And then we'll do the last row. ¿Te va?
Yeah.
Hasta luego, Diego.
Beautiful.
How do you like that, Francisco?
You're the best.
I know it.
One of the interesting things I learned along the way in this process is the story behind the functioning buttonholes on bespoke jackets. Apparently there's some disagreement on the details of how these unique cuffs came to be, but a popular legend is that battlefield surgeons in the 18th century needed a way to roll up their sleeves quickly without removing their coats. The story goes that one such physician consulted his Savile Row tailor, who solved the dilemma by devising working buttonholes that allowed the cuffs to be rolled back on themselves like a shirt sleeve. This ultimately became a distinctive feature of virtually all bespoke jackets, and it remains so today. Some wearers will leave the bottom button undone as a discreet indication of the coat's custom tailoring. Others may not, seeing the gesture as an affectation with no practical purpose. As they say, each to his own.
All right.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, we finally finished your beautiful navy blazer here, the linen jacket, and I hope you enjoy it. We've looked it over, you and I together. Fit looks great. I think you feel very comfortable in this.
Can you see the excitement?
I see the excitement. You look very excited, and I hope you get to wear it all summer long and enjoy it and have a great time, and a lot of wrinkles too. That's part of the enjoyment of linen.
Well, I will say, not to get too overly dramatic about it, but it's been a real pleasure to be basically the first one to tell your story.
Thank you.
And to record it, and for posterity, and for the enjoyment and education of others.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. I appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Let's get this thing bagged up and get me out of here.
All right, we'll get you out.
Perfect.